Memento Mori Stories, a podcast that reminds us that we will die and that celebrates the deeply personal and sometimes whimsical ways we create to remember death and cherish life. How we bridge the gap, the sometimes deep, painful, and soul-searching gap between life and death. How we remember those we have loved, the things we keep, the phrases we use, the foods we prepare, the places we hold dear. This is your invitation to listen generously to one such story. A Memento Mori story.
The little carved mahogany elephant is related to my grandfather. When I was a young adult, finding my way in the world, I had a wonderful privilege of traveling to Ghana, West Africa. And while I was there, I bought gifts to bring home for several of my loved ones, family, friends. But I remember specifically purchasing a set of 3 mahogany elephants, little carved elephants. And the largest one I gave to my grandfather when we returned. When he died in about 1993 in January, my grandmother gave that elephant back to me. So he'd had it for about 6 years. My grandfather was a strong, secure, intelligent, gentle, loving presence in my entire life. I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' home when I was before and after kindergarten each day, and I lived with them for a while after I graduated from college and while I had my first job. He was a very steady presence for me. And the elephant started to become a symbol of strength and security, the idea of power, but accompanying me, not something that's mowing me down, but something that makes a way clear for me. And I started then ending up with elephants as gifts, purchasing elephants. I remember putting a wall border on my daughter's nursery walls that were depicting elephants that went around the room. And I was pregnant with her when my grandfather died and was not encouraged to travel, so I was not able to be at his funeral. That's a kind of a neat connection that through the years I have with this very tangible symbol. Obviously, we don't have elephants in New York State, but that was a kind of this global connection also. In one sense, the elephant chose me in that when my grandfather died, my grandmother gave it back. So in that regard, it was choosing me initially. Choosing a gift for him, I really appreciated the artwork and just this figure of the elephant. And it has continued to be that way for me through the years, as folks will either give me an elephant or I will include it in my artwork. Or when I took my yoga teacher training years ago, I learned a little bit more about Hinduism, and I learned about the Hindu expression of God, which is part elephant, part man, and the aspect of the god Ganesha and the removal of obstacles, of making the way clear, of, the strength and the power and this character of God that is present for us and for me in a very real way. So in that sense, it continues to be a me choosing and it choosing me phenomenon. This particular elephant, I think there's a sense of broadening, a sense of universal connection, since it did come from Africa, that it was crafted by a Ghanaian person, and connecting me with someone who was very significant in my life, who provided love and nurture and care and education in some ways for me. This little elephant helps me to stay connected in thought or in emotional feeling with my family of origin, and specifically my maternal grandfather. Then that influence that he had on me, and through a larger perspective, the elephants that kind of sprung from that first one, that now surround me, just makes that connection even stronger. I think if I were to describe it in 2 words, the words would be accompanied and secure. The one thing that is significant, since I live within the Christian tradition, some ancient wisdom literature would be from the book of Proverbs in the Hebrew Bible, from Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge God, and God will make straight your paths. So for me, here's this image of this awesome, tangible, real creature that is a remover of obstacles, whom I can trust in the presence of the divine to accompany me, make my way clear and secure as I journey through this life.
Thanks for listening. Compassion and listening are so valuable in bringing healing to our lives after loss. So, how about you? Do you have a story about something that reminds you of a special someone, a beloved pet, an event, or a place that brings comfort? Please contact Memento Mori Stories through this podcast or our Facebook or Instagram pages. I would love to hear from you.